and welcome to the Ballrooms and Bachelors podcast, where we talk about dance life and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille,
And I'm Matthew.
and today we have finally the long-awaited set of updates after the Dallas competition.
Yes, yes,
Just there's a lot of things. We have the second to last episode of Bachelor in Paradise. It
yes.
will be next week that we'll
hmm
cover that. So I'm going to get started with some of the dance
Yes, I'm
updates.
so excited to hear because we haven't talked very much since you
Yeah,
came back. So I'm so excited.
I am back from Dallas. I also went to Cape May for a few days after that. And I just got back from there last night.
I'm
So
sure it's
I'm
probably
like,
a whole whirlwind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like,
After this today, I'm going to dance for my follow-up lesson with Elena to go over. I had received the feedback from my showcase, just like two different pages, and so I'll go over it with Elena, and then we're just kind of get the idea of like what's coming up for dance.
yeah, yeah.
I know that they are having another AODC competition in December in Texas. I think it's in Austin
hmm
this time. But we're hoping to hear if there's another
Like
like
tri-state one, yeah.
yeah. So and before I even get into the Dallas stuff, like I know I'm hoping to do my showcase again, like in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
I was hoping to see if we can nag Matthew to do his
Do
showcase
mine
again.
too. I really hope
Like,
so. Have like kind of everybody
yeah,
here can see it.
yeah.
Yes.
So we're hoping to. I
Have that
don't know if I'll
opportunity.
get information from her today, but we'll find out like maybe within the next few weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
But yeah, Dallas was really good.
Mhm.
I did film some clips to do kind of like a day in the life, mostly just from like the competition stuff. I know
Mhm.
you're still working on.
Yeah, it will be posted soon, so keep an eye
Yeah,
out.
yours from the mini match, and then I'll work on that. We're just trying
Mhm.
to get through the end of Bachelor in Paradise right now. It's been
Mhm.
crazy. But it was really good. We got there, like a group of us flew in together on
Mhm.
Thursday. We lucked out because the flight on Thursday was so empty.
That's really rare, so that's great.
Yeah, the flight attendant just let us sit wherever. So
That's
like we
awesome.
sat in like groups of two in the same aisle, and
Uh-huh.
it was cool. We got to chat. And then when we came back, the flight attendant remembered us. She was like, "You guys were on the Thursday flight." But Thursday or the Sunday flight was a lot more it was a lot more packed,
Yeah.
but fortunately the way that the group of us got the seats, we were like all together. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
It's
kind of worked out.
awesome.
But Thursday we got there, they did their first show or like first party, which was just kind of more like social dancing. It was the 20-year anniversary of Dance with Me, so they were like raffling off. Well, I don't, they weren't raffling off. We had dance games
hmm
that we had to play to win some of the merchandise.
hmm
So I'm literally going to draw a blank now, but we had one where you had to change partners every time the music switched.
hmm
And they always made sure there was like an odd person out. I got pretty far in that game.
hmm
I got up to like one of the last six or seven
Oh wow,
games.
that's
I
awesome.
They had one where they literally made one of the judges go around and tell you like, oh, you're dancing well or you're not dancing well. And I think we were like the first. I was like the first one out. I was like,
Uh-huh.
great, that's fun. But I think like even the judge, it was Ferdy that got asked to do this. He was like, I don't want to be doing this. Or like don't make
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
do
Don't
this.
make me
Like
choose. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just having fun.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of what other ones that we did. There were like a few dance games like that,
hmm
but I think some of it was like specific song, like specific
Yeah,
songs or
yeah.
whatever, specifically bachata, but
hmm
something like that. I forgot exactly what the we did that. So that was Thursday night. It was like more casual.
Yeah.
And then I know it kind of ended a little bit earlier because the there was like a big pro number that was happening Friday night, so they all
hmm
had to go rehearse. And I think just from like seeing people post stuff after, I think they were rehearsing till like 1 in the morning.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
right into Friday. And what did we do? Like we kind of hung out on Thursday, like because there was like the bar area.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't the whole like Thursday night, people weren't hanging out like at the bar after
Right, right.
everything, but like some of our group, like we were sitting out there and talking. So we're like, we
Mhm.
came all this way, we're gonna sit and chat.
Exactly.
Um, so we did that for a bit, and then Friday, I mean, I wasn't competing, but they had Latin in the morning and they had social in the afternoon. So I went to go watch. Some of our friends were competing in the Latin, some in the social. So I
hmm
watched a little bit. They had the breakfast and lunch. I tried to help them out with some things like
hmm
filming, all that stuff. Um, and then kind of like midway through the afternoon, I had to switch to get into
hmm
my mode. So I
hmm
got my makeup done. And then I went to go practice and rehearse a little bit
hmm
and just go through. And it was the first time like I've done it by myself. So like Elena was like, I can come like with you and whatever. She watched me for a bit just to like give me
hmm
some notes. Like she just explained to me like, the floor is different from here
hmm
and this and that. Um, and try to do that. But then I went like later on, they get to the part where they finish up social and
hmm
they're like kick everybody out because they literally bring everyone in to like break down the
hmm
tables and the chairs and everything to set
Yeah,
up for the gala because
yeah.
it does take the staff a little
hmm
time.
hmm
So they're, everybody's out on the dance floor, including the pros doing their numbers. And like
hmm
Elena was like, do you need me? I'm like, It's fine.
Just like focus on your thing.
Like
Yes.
it's my own showcases.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't need her to rehearse.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, okay, I just walked through. I had my headphones on. I was like in the zone. I was like, doing my thing.
Doing
And
that,
I'm like,
yeah.
I got to get out of here. I went upstairs and then, I kind of just like tried to like relax for some time because
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, this is the only downtime I'm going to get. Like it's a long night.
Yeah.
The gala, we went down there around like 8:30.
Mhm.
They have dinner first now because it used to get confusing that the dinner would get taken away while you were dancing and
Yes.
stop that. So they did the dinner. I danced 10th and I was very happy. I was very
I
happy
love
that
that.
went
Yes.
out. I'll go back to it in a bit. But then
Okay.
so then Saturday night, yeah, we were there. They did all the student showcases first.
Mhm.
Then they did the pro number.
Which I heard was very extravagant.
It was crazy. Like they just wove it together that there's basically like part 1 and part 2. And part 1 just like was seamless and part 2 was very seamless. And the point was they brought in like Ferdy and Julia danced or they're judges that have been at the competitions and they come around and they do coachings at the studios. Like they did their dance like intermingled with that and then they had different numbers with different people. Max and Val came out and danced with some of the instructors. And they did that. So they kind of had like part 1 and then they had part 2. So I think it was like 50 minutes all.
Wow.
Like start to finish. It was probably like 25.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the intricacy, like they could have prepared all those routines, but the fact that they wove it all together.
Yeah.
And these are all of our instructors.
Yeah.
And judges and Max and Val and people are all over. They're in all different studios. They're not training together. They basically had 2 times to rehearse it in person, like late Thursday night. They were all like running the day. They were competing with their students. They were doing hair and makeup. They were running around doing all these different things. They had showcases with their students the same night. Like I really, I know this was a lot on them,
yes,
the instructors.
I cannot imagine.
It was a lot of pressure on them, but it was very it was enjoyable to watch. I'm glad there was some confusion of which night I was supposed to be doing my showcase, and I wasn't originally going to go to all 3 evening events, but I'm kind of glad it worked out. So I saw this because if I missed this, I would have and had been in Texas. I definitely would have I felt like I missed out. And so we have videos, so I'm sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've gotten to see anything.
Yeah, I have not, but I'm excited to see it.
I don't have like full start to finish because I'm like I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I was like I know some people are gonna just
do the whole thing. Yeah.
So that was that, and then Saturday night, a few of us we went to like a country like 2-step bar very briefly. They were already closed by the time we got there. Like they were pretty much closed, but it was cool because I had been in Nashville, so like only like 2 months ago now. And this isn't kind of like the same vibe that we have there.
Yeah.
So I did we went to the country 2-step bar briefly, and then we were out late with that. And I got so thrown off with these days. It was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I kept thinking it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday the whole time. So Saturday I went sightseeing a bit with one of our friends, and then we just went to different areas. Like we went to Fort Worth. We did some like line dancing a little bit, got some barbecue. And we did make it back to see the pro competition on Saturday night. So some of our instructors were competing like in the pro.
Yeah.
So we made it back for that. And what was really cool, Saturday night wasn't as long of an event. But we got to see our instructors compete.
Which is always the best. Yeah.
Which was awesome. And I think we got there later that we missed the student showcases that they did that night. Okay. But they just played social music after that.
Oh, wow.
And we just were dancing and dancing and dancing. And there was like so many people were exhausted because of like all the previous days. So there was a bunch that went to bed. But like our group from Jersey and some of our instructors from Jersey, everybody was hanging out. We were all talking. Yes. They had the open bar was still open, but we were there for a long time, just like after things like really like concluded, just to hang out. Yeah. It was nice because we weren't sure we were gonna make it Saturday night. Yeah. But we did. And then Sunday, I just did some more sightseeing and went to go see some different areas. So I mean, for me, but my showcase itself. Yeah. I had said in the last episode, like I wanted to do a solo showcase for a long time. I kind of settled on settles is not. I picked doing like hip hop by myself because there were different ideas I had of it, but I've always enjoyed, if you've seen Legally Blonde, I always loved that movie. And there's a scene like when Elle goes to the party that she is like, they tell her it's a costume party and she dresses up in this bunny outfit. Yeah. About she's there chasing after her ex-boyfriend and like trying to fit in with the group, and then they mock her, and she just has this like moment. And I've seen Reese Witherspoon be interviewed about this clip where she said like like I'm never going to be good enough for you, am I? And it it was I've always loved this song in this moment.
Yes.
But when I kind of like re-saw some of this recently,
Hmm.
it resonated with me of some of the things that I've gone through lately.
Hmm.
And like there's a scene, it launches into the scene and she plays a song and it's called Watch Me Shine
Hmm.
by Joanna Pacitti. And I think this is like her only song that I've ever heard about.
Uh-huh.
But she played that's the song that plays in the background when Ella has her glow up. She goes to the store and she buys the laptop and she goes and then she's like studying and working out and doing
Hmm.
things and like changing her like all of her stuff to like show them that she
Hmm.
knows what she's doing and really step up and like ultimately you see this paves the trajectory for the rest of the movie
Hmm.
of like she like excels in law school. She has her own personality. She
Yeah.
still stays true to who she is,
Yeah.
and she ends up attracting a guy that is better for her.
Yes.
And I have always loved that scene. I've always loved that song,
Hmm.
and it just felt like I was like, why am I thinking of anything else? This is what I need right now.
Hmm.
It's very meaningful to me. That's why I was like, I need bright pink. Bright
Yes.
pink has to be there has to be bright pink. I'm obviously not blonde. I wasn't wearing the bunny outfit, even though we joked about it. But but yeah, I was like, it's not conducive for
No,
me.
exactly. It's just like,
But that's the whole thing I went.
yes.
So yeah, and I just felt like once I knew it was the 20th anniversary of Dance with Me and I wanted to do solo and I wanted to do all this, I was like, this
It
is
like
the
all fit
perfect
together.
time
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
I love it.
So I'm gonna pause anyway.
No, that was so great. And yeah, like I said, we were talking and you posted something a little bit of the clip on your social media, and I was just like, no way, this is so great. And I just it's funny because I had heard the song before, obviously, because I love the movie, and then also like I heard it when you were
Mhm.
like when you posted it. But I've like been so hooked on listening to that song now, just because I'm
No.
just like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's a good song, even if you again like if you don't like relate to it, it's just such like a bop. You gotta like dance to it. It's so good.
I recently went through an old I used to make like CD playlists for myself for the car when
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
going
yeah.
to school and I found one from like 2012
Uh-huh.
going into my senior year of college and it's the song is literally
It's on
on
there.
the CD.
So see,
So I'm
it's like
I since 2012 at least I have loved this
love
song.
this
So
song. I love
yeah,
that. That's
it's just
amazing.
there. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see. So now everybody knows. If you didn't see, I haven't posted. I'm getting the video from Nikita, so I'll
Okay,
eventually put it on
perfect.
YouTube. I can share it on there, but I haven't even done any posts from Dallas. But
Mhm.
we'll get there.
We'll get there eventually,
Um,
yes.
but I know Dallas and everything seems like a big thing. But you have some news, some
Yes,
exciting things
yes,
that
I
have
do.
been.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's like you said, it's been such like a whirlwind of I think the last few weeks. I think for
Mhm,
both of us. I just think it does come with this time of year where
mhm,
like start like work starts to ramp up again from the summer and then me with school still being in school and everything. So this was my first week of senior year, which is still truly so crazy to like say out loud that I'm a senior. Like I was telling all
yeah.
my friends that last night because it's like it just feels so weird because I've been in school obviously for a while and obviously I've had a lot of experiences
Mhm.
and have grown so much as a person and everything. So for this to be the last 2 semesters I'm going to have is like bittersweet but also exciting. And I've kind of thought like I'm much closer to kind of like the more kind of independent responsibilities as a full-blown adult than
Yes.
that is not being the case. So like it's kind of in my mind, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like so crazy. But yeah, so I started school this week and that went again, it went very well, very tiring, but was very, very fun because I got to see a lot of my friends again. And
Mhm,
last night was my first dance club meeting of the semester. Like I mentioned on here, I'm a part
mhm.
of the dance club at my school, which was great because we're all so close in the club, and it was great because just again to see everybody and we learned or not learned, but redid our like company piece just to see what we remember, which is really funny. They kind of be like, "Oh, who like remembered it over the
Oh,
summer?"
yeah.
So we're literally like in the studio, and it's like, "Okay, we'll just go for it."
It's a warm up.
It's a warm up, exactly. And then like some of the new members learned it
Yeah.
too, which was really, really fun. And yeah, it's I think that's one of the things that I've shared this a few times, not here, but just with friends and stuff, that I think that's one of the things about being a senior that is really very bittersweet for me because I know I only have 2 more semesters in the dance club. So that's going to be very, very, I think, emotional for me. Like that's everybody, every
Mhm.
senior cries because we all have like speeches and stuff at like right before we go on the stage for the showcase and stuff. And like all of my other senior friends are in the club were like, we're not going to think about that right now. Like
Yeah.
let's just like enjoy it and not rush through this, please.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that is pretty much it in terms of kind of what's been going on. But yeah, it's been great to just again kind of get back in the swing of things with my routine. Obviously, we've had a lot going on with the podcast and with the Bachelor
Yeah.
in Paradise, everything going on like that. So it's been a really crazy time, but very, very fun for sure.
Yes. So I think before we get into the episode, I think
Yeah.
we want to talk about one more hot topic that's been coming up now, and I'm sure more things will come up as they get to the finale next week. But so Kat from Bachelor in Paradise, there's been this rumor circulating about apparently she had an iPad during filming that she was messaging with a secret boyfriend back home. So it just sounds, I don't know where it initially stemmed from. I'm catching up on all the Bachelor podcasts because I was not listening while I was away, but I think they're trying to point it on, like, Alicia was on an interview and she said it, and I was like, okay, well, like, see what's going on, but I don't know. So something to just be aware of that's like circulating that doesn't come up in this episode, but like I'm sure will come up next week
at some point. Yeah. So there's always like news cycle stuff in the Bachelor Nation news cycle that like you don't know. Like it was kind of the thing we were talking about with the Golden Bachelor. With all of that stuff that like we didn't really know what was going on, but obviously it was a rumor, and I just think there's so many things that come out of the franchise that we're like, okay, we'll just let you know, even if it's not fully kind of figured out what everything is and stuff. So but yeah.
And I guess the only other thing is we know that Dancing with the Stars and Golden Bachelor, their premieres are coming up soon.
Yes.
We're going to get a little bit more into that next week and how we're going to handle the podcast with all of that. Just like two shows at the same time. So,
yes.
So for next week. But I think for now,
we will get into the next episode, episode 9 of Bachelor in Paradise, which is still crazy, but oh my gosh.
So you can kick it off.
Okay, yes, I will kick it off. Like we were talking about before we got on the podcast or the recording, Wells and Hannah were finally in the intro, which is like so exciting because like it took how long? 9 episodes. Like 1 episode before the finale, of course. That's what they have to do, but at least it's better late than never. That's kind of what I'm trying to think about
it. They put the clip with Wells with the ice pick,
this
weird scene when they did I forgot what movie they were even advertising, but they and I was just like, of course you put the creepy one, and then Hannah was like the champagne
like spilling,
weird. I'm like, of course you give them that, but whatever, that's fine.
At least they're in.
At least they're there.
They're there, totally, exactly. So that was really good for sure.
So that was what kicked us off. Yeah. And they go. There was just like, they always have little bits and pieces of these conversations that happen. So I just thought it was funny. Because I started watching it back before Matthew did, and I told him, I'm like, don't worry, you got a Kathy like comment right at the beginning.
Yes.
So Bailey and Jeremy are making out at the table, and then Kathy is just like, can you please get a room? And I think Jeremy's like, well, we have. Like, and this whole thing. So, and then that's right before Hannah comes over to pull the girls over for a chat. And then like kind of leave the guys there, and they're all sitting at the bar, and they're just like, they're like, okay, well, I guess like we could talk to or something.
Yeah.
But pretty much what Hannah kind of just went through, and I think she was trying to like poke a little bit at the love connections and ask about like, are they feeling like they're able to get engaged?
Exactly.
And I forgot if Bailey or Alex had really said anything, but I know
I had that Kat had said that she was or she asked how the girls felt about a possible engagement, and then Kat was saying she was against it because of her last experience, so she was like, nope. Which makes sense. And then Alex, she said she was very happy with Andrew, but again, they didn't really say anything about the engagement. But I kind of same thing with Jeremy or with Bailey. She was saying that they're doing well and everything despite their struggles and everything. So I didn't really say anything about being open to an engagement after the show or while this ends, but I kind of took that if they're saying, oh, we're doing well, that they're at least open to it. That's kind of how I took it.
Jess, I think, was the same thing. She gets a little bit emotional because I think she does really, she's very happy with Spencer, but I think she's not ready to say, and this kind of will come back a few times throughout the episode, but she's just not sure. And I think they all seem pretty level-headed with it because they're kind of like, they're happy with where they're at. Yeah. But they're kind of like, I'm not going to do that here.
Absolutely. And that's what I wrote down a quote that Jess had said, and she was like, she really has to remind herself that she kind of deserves the kind of love that she's been getting from Spencer, because I just feel like, and I feel like a lot of us probably can relate to this, not even just on the show, that like when you've gone through, I guess, hard things, whether it's relationships or friendships or whatever in life, if you're getting good things in your life, it's kind of hard to be like, I actually deserve this. So it takes a lot of healing and obviously kind of reflection to actually be able to accept those things. So I can definitely relate with her on that. And she was saying that, I guess she was reiterating what they talked about last week on the episode where the whole moving thing about like, despite not going, she didn't think that they could go, or what Spencer was talking about was like, oh, Spencer's talking about moving in together, but we haven't even gone on an official date outside of the show yet. So I think that's way too fast for me, which again makes sense. So it's definitely, but again, they all seem pretty level-headed and kind of on the same page of everything.
Yeah, which we don't know if the show loves that or not, but
No,
I'm happy seeing
no,
it.
me too, me too. And I think that's the exact reason we were talking about on the first episode back that this was kind of what Hannah was brought in for, was
Yeah,
really kind of just really being kind of this a support system for
yeah,
people. So that I
yeah.
thought it was really good.
And then Jesse comes in with the big announcement.
Yes,
So
he always has to come up with a big announcement. So,
yeah.
Like you said, Jesse comes in with a big announcement, and that big announcement is that they're going to have a beachside dinner to kind of celebrate the accomplishments that they have made
Hmm.
in Paradise so far, making it this long, and so on and so forth. And so they went to the beach. They had
Yeah.
like this whole kind of tent set up, and this all this nice tables and this fancy
Hmm.
food and stuff. And then I thought it was funny because there were a few conversations. It was kind of like the morning conversations that they
Yeah.
have where they kind of cut back and forth pretty quickly. But I thought it was funny when Andrew and Alex were talking, and then I think it was Andrew who was like, "Oh, I think she's like I'm on the verge of her being my person."
Oh yeah.
And then Alex was like, "Oh yeah, likewise." And then he was like, "What? I'm not your person yet." That was so funny, and it's just like, okay,
Back and forth.
yeah. And then uh that's all I had
Oh,
for the do I have yeah, that's all I have for the thing.
yeah.
What did you have?
I mean, I know that Andrew and Alex too, like, I guess they interviewed Andrew for his end moment, and he was just like, he's like, I just don't want to let the money distract me. And he's like, but I still would want the money,
Honey,
like
yep,
something like
yep,
that.
yep.
And I just thought there was like, I don't even think they showed his face when he said it, but they got, like, they showed all the food was like really fancy,
Really
it was a really
fancy,
nice
yep.
dinner, and this whole thing. And then I hear Spencer, he's like, is that steak?
Yeah,
I don't even think they showed his face, but
they
like,
just heard
the
it.
accent
Yeah,
was
yeah,
really
yeah.
like, it was
Like
funny.
very, yeah,
Um, and then yeah, so I mean that it was like a nice dinner,
yeah.
and it's like you're like there's got to be a
There's
catch.
gonna be a catch,
There's got to be a
exactly.
catch, and this wasn't planned, but all the flies start attacking Kat,
Yep.
and like so she's flipping out. She's like
Yes.
swatting everyone. People are like oh my gosh, like Kat's there with the bugs. She's like hitting Dale. She's hitting
Yes.
whoever was next to her, Kathy. With and then they show the clip like interviewing Kathy, and they're like Kathy thinks millennials are wussies.
Uh-huh.
But this, I mean, like it's like. Ugh, it's so annoying because I'm like, I put myself in her shoes, and it's like sometimes they're just not like the flies are just coming. And
Yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
screaming into the void. No one's doing anything. Like, I mean, I saw it looked pretty aggressive, but it's like,
Yeah.
were they literally only coming after her?
Yeah, I kind of looked like it, but I don't know. And I thought it was so funny because in her
Yeah.
ITM, she was just like, I hate bugs and this is so horrible and
Yeah.
I hate this. And then they put the blurb was must be bugging,
Oh,
which of
I
course
see
they
that
got to
part.
do that. And then I love Dale, like right before they cut to the next scene, was him going there and he was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to get knocked out because he was just like, again, like you
Yeah.
said, she was just like swinging at him and
Yeah. I mean,
stuff.
they of course made it look like they were like something was brewing. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh God, here we go.
of course, here we go.
Okay, man, we don't need
Yeah,
any of
no, we
this
don't need
stuff.
that. They've rebounded from all their problems. We don't need
Yeah.
another one, please. Exactly.
So now then Jesse comes in and he's like, okay, well, we have another announcement. We're
Yeah.
gonna go spend overnights in jungle glamp sites. Those were not glamp sites.
No, they were not.
So he's like, oh, telling them, okay, you're gonna go. He's like, you wondered why we told you to pack a bag.
Yes.
So they go in their outfits they
Yes.
are wearing, like
They just
dressed up
walk from the dinner to the place.
dinner to the place, and they set them up. No, this is not glamp sites. They
No.
literally have a and they still don't tell them that this is a relationship
Yeah,
test. So
yeah,
in the
yeah.
background, like Jesse's explaining, it's a relationship test. There's going to be an expert in couples
Mhm.
therapy judging them, who's Dr. Laura Berman. I think I've heard her
I
on
think
the
I've heard the
podcast
name
before.
too. Yeah.
But anyway, so they set them up with like this campsite,
Mhm.
and yeah, and like they have to set up a tent, and they have to set up everything,
Yeah.
and like I don't know what else you had.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was pretty much it. So like you said, Jesse was saying kind of voiceover kind of in that way that this was going to be their next relationship test, but the couples don't know this at all. They have not been
Mhm.
told this, so
Mhm.
they kind of just like, oh, this is just, I guess, something that
Yeah.
we're doing. And so like you said, they kind of have to build their own campsite and there's obstacles and everything like that, which again, like the walkie-talkies last week for the treasure hunt thing, I think a lot of it, which again, the editors put that in that we did this on purpose. A lot of the kind of obstacles that
Yeah.
came in, it's like,
Yeah.
yes, we did
Yeah.
this to make it more difficult for you. And so I think they called this the Welcome to the Jungle test. That's what I put as the title.
Yeah.
And then like you were saying, it's interesting because all the couples seem like they're like struggling with all of this stuff because like the Keith and Kathy are like trying to build their tent and then it was like, oh, I can't find this piece, and then it said in like the blurb next to them, all parts not included, and then in like a parentheses on purpose. So
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
so it makes sense. They're like, we're doing this on purpose, and that was kind of
Yeah.
the whole thing that Jesse had said to them when they were, I guess, going to go to the site that. they kind of wanted, I guess, to replicate, oh, the things that you guys do here in your relationship are not going to kind of be the same on the in the
Hmm.
outside world. So we kind of want to, I guess, see how you guys adapt and handle, I guess, challenges and obstacles in this setting.
Yeah.
So, and then same thing with Keith and Kathy. They were like, oh, the match, or, oh, it wasn't Keith and Kathy, it was Keith and Kathy and then a few other people. And they're like,
Everybody. Yeah.
everybody. And they're like, the mattress is broken. And then with Andrew, when he was trying to get the water jug open, and it was like, yes, we glued the lid on because he was like, I can't open this. And then it was like, yes, we glued the lid on. And
I couldn't
then,
even keep up with all of those
oh,
captions. I
yeah,
was
there was just so many.
multitasking, and I was like, all right, I'll catch the ones I meant to see, and if not, you'll write the rest.
Yes, yes. I was like, I was trying to like figure out because again, they were going
Yeah.
by so quickly. And then, of course, again, they have the flies everywhere. And then Bailey was not having fun with that. And
No.
then it was funny because I think it was, yeah, it was Andrew and Alex again. And they were, I guess, trying to get like the broken chairs. Oh, there were chairs that were broken and they were trying to fix it. And he was like, oh, this is ghetto physics. And that was just so funny, his line. And then again, Kat is still freaking out about the bugs, which is a pretty kind of long going storyline with it. And then kind of how it starts to end before this first segment ends of this whole thing is that she's
Yeah.
really kind of starting to spiral. And it's like, I can't handle this anymore. And she's like telling Dale and everything, obviously. And then Dale is kind of like, I really don't know what to do because she's really not having,
Yeah.
I guess, a good time. And this is really bothering her. And I want to like make her feel reassured and help her through this, but I don't know what to do. So yeah, that was very crazy. But
I think, yeah, I'm just like going through over
yeah,
some
me
of these
too.
portions. So like there was horse poop everywhere,
Yes.
which is probably there's more than flies there.
Yes. Well, yes.
But like yeah, Kathy kind of said like if you hadn't put a tent together before, the instructions would not be helping.
No.
So she kind of like reaffirmed this is she knew like
She
they
know
were
they're setting this up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like they intentionally didn't include everything they needed, like the pieces that they needed, the
Yeah.
like the proper size tools. They put the holes in the air mattresses.
Yeah.
Leia made a comment about how Jonathan could use more deodorant, which I'm
Hmm.
like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathy sat on the table and broke it. She's
Broke-
walking around with the bugs out.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I feel like the Statue of Liberty.
And they played the music, the American music. That was so funny.
Yeah, Kat, and then that's where I kind of stopped. Was like Kat was like really crying and struggling and
Yes.
how to react. But like
Yes.
I think it was like I guess it was a commercial break.
Yeah.
And then
Then it came back. Yeah.
everything kind of shifted with
Shifted.
everybody. It's like everybody kind of seemed like they got the campsite together.
Yes, they got
more or
it
less.
together.
And at this point, they're still like, we're staying here over the
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, they accomplished the task. They're gonna sit and chill. So then
Now they're gonna chat and actually
Yeah.
have like regular conversations now rather than freaking out that everything doesn't work.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they'll be doing that. So the
So you can
first,
do your
oh,
rubric,
okay,
yes.
okay. So the first conversation that happened was Andrew and Alex, and I thought it was really funny because they were gonna do this like romantic kiss, and it wasn't like, I guess Andrew was the one that just said this, right? He was like, imagine if this was like our last kiss ever, and then we both die, which again,
Yeah, yeah,
very,
yeah.
very, very dark, I guess. But I guess to see what happens, and then they were both gonna go in for the kiss. And then Andrew was gonna, I guess, go tongue first with the kiss. And then
Yeah.
Alex was like, are you gonna do tongue first? And then he was like, no, I got it. Was just so funny.
They were going back and forth
They were going
about this
back
whole
and-
thing.
Yes.
And the other thing is what happened? Andrew loves like rom-coms. So like,
Yeah.
if you follow him on Instagram, like I can't even keep up with it, but like he watches all like rom-com movies. He makes like things he like posts about it, like wants people to message him, talk about it, this whole thing. So he's like Mr. like rom-com, like he does all
Exactly.
this thing. So
He does.
okay, this is like very him.
He does. Absolutely.
Big.
Yes.
But I know that they kind of like they kept going back and forth to like Dr. Berman, and then
Yeah.
he was kind of just like she's
Listening.
like, no, they have fun together, but like there's like something missing in this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, okay, 'cause,
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, the things progressed throughout the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was
That was their thing.
the clip.
Yes, and again, these were very quick. And I wrote down this quote. I don't know who said it. I think it was Spencer saying it to Jess because I think they might have been the second one. But he was talking about how, or what he said to Jess was, a house that is not home without you in it. And I thought that was a very, very cute line. I thought that was
I think
him.
it was him.
Yeah, I think it was him because I was like, who did he say that to? And yes, I was like, yeah, it was he and Jess. I thought that was really cute. And then they go back to Dale and Kat, and Dale kind of officially starts to calm Kat down. And I'm very happy. I mean, I think I was happy that I kind of didn't escalate because obviously that kind of could have been a thing they used to, like the show would have used to its advantage, being like, okay, this is gonna be like half the episode of like Kat not having fun with this. So I'm glad that happened. And then Bailey and Jeremy were talking, and again, it's kind of what Bailey was reiterating in the conversation with Hannah that they're both doing well and they both seem happy.
Mhm.
And then they get to Leia and Jonathan, which again, was pretty similar to how a lot of their one-on-one conversations have had or
Yeah.
has transpired the last two episodes or so, where Leia was like, I really kind of wanted this to work, but I think Jonathan's kind of in the mindset that, yeah, it's like, yeah, we're just going to be friends, and that's kind of how it's going to be.
Hmm.
And Leia was saying that Jonathan's going to be a good boyfriend to somebody one day, but wish it could have worked with them. And then we got to one of the bigger storylines with Keith. And this kind of continues throughout the episode, but Keith was saying that very quickly that he misses his family and that he, again, that was like, I guess a big thing. Obviously, he's very close with his family. And I think that was a thing where just being on the show and
Hmm.
kind of being in this environment has taken him out of his family environment, obviously, which I think has been hard for him, like he said. But he had said that he's also kind of like Jonathan and Leia, they're both I think yeah, Keith said that he is very, very confident that he and Kathy will both find their person also because they were both kind of complimenting each other and being like, oh, you're such a good catch, you're like a stand-up person, you're so great. So even as like a platonic relationship, they were both again they're both very high on each other, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was just thinking.
I know I talk so much. I know they're probably like,
Okay.
yeah.
I everything else, I'm just like, what are the notable things? You
The
can
only
list
one
them.
I had was Justin Spencer. Same thing. It just showing how happy they were. Again, it's so quick, but that
Yeah.
was pretty much
I
it.
mean, with Dale like helping Kat, like he basically was like, sit down, put your feet up. You don't need to put your feet on the ground. Like the bugs will do this. Like relax
Right.
or whatever. And like I guess her first instinct was like, well, what can I do for you? And like Dr. Barman was like, it's interesting how her first reaction is to do something for him.
Mhm.
Which, and I think that we'll get to like her feedback. I think she's just trying to also give them things to think about and
Yeah.
criticize them, you know.
Yeah.
But I think like of course the show's gonna zoom in on her like making these comments
Mhm,
because
mhm.
like that is a point. Like he's trying to help her and like his
Right.
initial reaction is like, what can I do to give back to him?
Exactly.
Which I think comes up later. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then I just wrote about those same things.
Yeah. That was pretty much it.
Keith
It
and
was,
Kathy.
yeah. Yeah.
So then they're all sitting there, and then all of a sudden there's some noise that
Hmm.
starts emanating from the jungle behind them, and they start freaking out, freaking out, freaking out. And it's like, okay, what is actually happening? But like Jesse comes in, and I'm like, this. I don't know if it was fake or if it
Yeah.
was whatever.
Whatever.
If it was real, but they did zoom in on like little monkey faces.
Hmm.
Um, like all of the women start freaking out and running around to each other. So Jesse's like, a Costa Rican zoologist has just informed me that it's not safe for you to be out here. So they're all like, oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Thank God, I'm
This was
out.
planned. But then he was
Yeah.
basically like, I think he basically said at that point, this was your relationship test. Like, don't worry, let's just leave. I'll tell you everything in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So they get out of there, they're all
Hmm.
relieved.
Hmm.
So the next morning they regroup and
Yeah.
then Jesse.
That's where he explained it to them because I have Jesse explains it that
Oh,
like the
yeah.
next morning he explains it was a test
Thank you.
and then he takes them to
Yes.
me. Yeah.
It just happened so quickly. It's
Yeah.
like, let's just get out of here. I'll explain everything in the morning.
Hmm.
Okay, that was what happened.
Yeah. That was just like,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
So the next morning they regroup, so he reveals it then. Yes, thank
Hmm.
you. So they meet this Dr. Laura Berman.
Hmm.
She's a relationship therapist, as we said before. So she watched the dinner and the camping activity,
Yeah.
which I don't think they explicitly told us she watched the dinner also.
No.
But I think the point was it's like seeing them in the different situations. It was very helpful.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like Jess was like, "Oh my gosh, she's been watching us," and they put like clearly forgot she was on a TV show.
Yeah.
I still, I know they're teasing Jess, but I'm like, yeah, but it's different.
Exactly.
Like, obviously, no, they're being filmed for the show.
No, but not secretly with somebody else watching on the show. Like that's not,
Yeah,
yeah,
and like also in this way, watching everything
everything.
because they know
Yeah,
the show's gonna get edited down. So I'm like,
exactly.
So
So it's different context. It's like yes, TV show, but
Yeah.
yes, different scenario.
So they just kind of sit them all down, and then she sits in front of them, and then she kind of goes through each of them. And I kind of hope and think she gave more of a detailed analysis
I hope so.
each
Yeah.
one, but they just like showed the highlights. Like Keith and Kathy, she's like, you both did very well working together. You can
Mhm.
tell you have a beautiful friendship, but there's no romantic connection. But like, she was like, that's fine,
Yeah.
whatever. Jonathan and Leia, she basically said the same exact thing, and she's like, but she kind of said, she's like, I can tell Leia that like there's
You-
romantic interest on your side if Jonathan was interested.
Yes. Which again, like we've talked about, that's why I think Leia has been like, I'm open to seeing if this would work with Jonathan, but then Jonathan's been kind of like, yeah, like no, that
Yeah.
like not disrespectfully, but yeah, he's just been kind of closed off to it. So
It's nice just to see, at least like for those two that we've been saying they're like the non-romantic couple,
Yeah.
that like at least like she agreed and saying like they work together really well and there was
and
like,
they
a
do,
good
yeah,
connection.
yeah,
And then she goes to Alex and Andrew and she said like there's a ton of laughter between you two, but she said you're really aligned, but
Mhm.
she kind of calls Andrew out about like not listening to what Alex said about the kiss. She's like, she's telling you how to kiss her, and like you're just going on and on with your own thing, and like
Uh-huh.
whatever. And which they talk about it later
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, and I think again, like this is where I was like, they're gonna try to make her seem like this. But
Yes.
I mean, I think the point is she's just like drawing attention to like the communication that transpired in that
Mhm.
moment. But she basically was like, I don't feel the chemistry between you two that you like want to be together
Like love each other
romantically.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I don't know. Did you have anything about Alex and Andrew?
That was pretty much it. But what I did remember about that was is that I remember Andrew was kind of like, oh, really? Like he was kind of questioning. He was kind of confused. He was like, oh, what do you mean? Because I think obviously both Andrew and Alex both feel strongly more than I think Laura felt. So
Yeah,
I just thought that
yeah.
was interesting. But yeah,
And then Jeremy and Bailey, she was like, I can tell you both have a lot of chemistry, but you don't always seem aligned. I mean, Jeremy kind of
kind of,
defends himself and
yeah.
saying about the whole thing. 'Cause, like obviously, like she's like, and this is an important thing to discuss, obviously, of like he wants to sleep on the floor in Peru, and she's like, I want to go to the Ritz
Miss
Carlton,
Carlton.
like whatever. And so, but his thing, he has a PhD in STFU. And then uh Kat and
Yeah.
Dale, she just commends Dale on being like supportive and helping her, and then she said like I think you have like the hero
Hero
complex,
complex.
and then
Yeah.
he talks about like the shadow side to that of like sometimes like when you can't help you could either shut down but he acknowledges it and he's like yes I'm aware of this and I understand, and then like
Hmm.
Kat acknowledged the point of like I always say sometimes with the relationship between two people that are givers, and I think
Hmm.
that's where like that tied into like Kat offering to do something for
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think they're both in that situation, and like it was nice to see her give the opinion, like the
Oh,
therapist give the
absolutely.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and then Spencer
Spencer
and
and
Jess were
Jess.
the last one. So she just said they have emotional and the chemistry connection, and then she just kind of like again calling a spade. Like you've obviously progressed very fast. Just take your time.
Yeah.
Because I think she just caught on to like some of the conversations that were transpiring with them, and I think it's just like a word of caution with that whole
Hmm.
thing. I mean, I thought it was like pretty accurate from
It,
like what we've
what we've
seen,
seen. Yeah.
and I hope that they were able to kind of digest it like
Hmm.
appropriately. I don't know if
Yeah.
you had any other thoughts on that.
That was
Otherwise,
pretty much it. Yeah, you could go on to the next
yeah.
thing. That was pretty much it.
So she did announce the winner
Hmm.
based on what she thought they had the best compatibility. She said based on the circumstances, and she
Yeah.
chose Kat and Dale. And I do think that was the right call
Me
because like
too.
she had the biggest hurdle and he
Hmm.
handled it well.
Exactly.
And I think that's so they were like now she's a nature lover. She's like,
Yeah.
everything was worth
Yeah.
it.
Everything is so worth
You
it.
get a
Yes.
date and then it was just like them sit there was like nothing to the
There
date.
was nothing else. That's all I. Did I even write anything about the date? No, no.
Happy to see like I do see the strength in their relationship now because like I think back to like a few weeks ago we were oh
Hmm.
my gosh
They're doomed. Yeah.
apart and the whole
Uh-huh.
thing and like but it just shows like they have overcome a lot of the hurdles in
Hmm.
this time.
Hmm.
Um
And like this was, I guess it has been similarly to the last few relationship tests, is
yeah.
that since day one they are safe from elimination from this rose ceremony. That's
Yes.
kind of the caveat too.
Yes, and then they'll only have to vote one couple out.
Yes. Hmm.
So then okay, yeah, so then I know they all break
They'll
then and
break.
then they
Yes.
start going into other conversations. So I know Jess and Spencer started talking a little bit more.
Yes, they did. So yes, Justin Spencer did kind of have more of a conversation, and I feel like this has kind of been, I guess, reiterating what has been kind of transpiring in the last few episodes. And she was asking if he has a timeline, and he was kind of saying that he does, and he was saying he wants to start a family in the next few years,
Mhm.
and she was saying she wants to start a family as well, but I guess she had more of a timeline by starting by 30, and he was like, yeah, that's kind of pretty late for me. And I said that they seem to be kind of on different pages on that topic. Which is interesting because this is like the first time, and I guess it's kind of not surprising that we're starting to kind of see like, I guess, conflict in their relationship because everything this whole season has been, oh, Jess and Spencer are great, Jess and Spencer are great, and like there's no problem with
They
them.
do this every time.
They do this every time, so it's like they got to throw it in. And then Jess was saying, kind of like they replayed on the promo last week, that she doesn't think that she could move in that quickly, and I guess that's what Jess or what Spencer was saying he was kind of hoping
Yeah.
for. And then Jess said that they
Mhm.
can take their time and not rush. And then Spencer was saying that he's in love with her. And then yeah, and then at the same time, she was nervous about she doesn't know if he or she could get there,
Yeah.
at least right now. She says, I love spending time with him and I think he's great and I've been had
Mhm.
such a good time spending time with him, but like I'm not at that point right now and I'm really nervous to like not be there and should I be nervous and all that stuff. So now we're kind of starting to see the conflict, like you had
Yeah.
said, about I guess a real world relationship with the two of them, which is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah. I'll get back to them later because they talk
they
about
talk
it
more. Yeah, yeah,
later.
yeah.
So
And so then Andrew and Alex talk. and they said that they were a little, like I had said, Andrew, not as much as Spencer or Jeremy, not as much as Jeremy when he was fighting back, kind of, I guess, pushing back, and like, oh yeah, I don't really agree with that. Andrew was kind of also confused when she was saying, "Oh, I don't really see the romantic side to you and Alex." And they were both kind of talking about how they say they're a little surprised by what they heard because she was, I think both of them were like, "Whoa, obviously we do have this romantic connection, and this is the way I feel about you, and everything like that." And obviously we get more of a kind of confirmation of that later in the episode. But that's kind of how they were feeling is like, I guess that's how she saw it, but we
Yeah.
kind of feel differently.
Yeah.
And then the last kind of, or one of the last, I guess, one of these things of these conversations was Jeremy and Bailey also talked. And then she was saying that Jeremy has really helped her in a lot of ways. And it's kind of just, again, showing how like kind of close they are and how strong the relationship is. I kind of forgot all the details because again it was very quick, but I remember I think Bailey was like, "Oh, like whenever I've gone through stuff, you've always been there," and
Yeah.
then it's just kind of again showed the trust that they have with each other and everything like
Yeah. I
that.
think I mostly because we'll get back to Andrew and Alex later, but Jeremy and Bailey, I think this was kind of like their main, the rest of their arc for the
Yeah,
majority of this episode. I do feel like they kind of just talked about like, yeah, they obviously know they have the differences, and I just reiterating that. And I think that's right. It's like Dr. Berman was watching like this small subset. She hasn't been watching the season. She doesn't know the whole history. She's just observing what she notices about them.
yeah,
Like we, even as a viewer, we're like, yeah, we know they're different people. Like
exactly,
they know they're different people, and obviously they're gonna know that the best. I think she's obviously just bringing it to light. So I
exactly.
think they seem to handle it well in the sense of like, okay, yeah, that's they know they're. She's like, I know you're not gonna do this. Like, I want to travel. I just want to
Right.
travel differently than you might travel, and
And that's okay.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's okay,
yeah.
and it's something that they're aware of that they can work through.
Right,
So
right, right. And I'm glad that they could have
yeah,
that kind of like they can internalize that or really kind of I guess realize that and not be like, oh, we can't work because of
yeah,
these difference of interest. I guess they can be like, yeah, we have different interests, but again, we can still
yeah,
love each other and make it work. I guess this was like the last. There was three girls that talked. There was just Kat and Leia. It was very quick,
yeah,
but Jess was starting to kind of share with them that she was panicking and
yeah,
that she moved for another guy and another
mhm,
time in her one of her previous relationships, and it didn't go well. And that's why she was like, "Oh, I'm not doing it again, even though I really love Spencer, and I just can't do it, at least especially this early." And then the girls were really trying to calm her down. And I remember,
yeah,
I think it was Leia being like, "He loves you so much, and if you kind of like, I guess, make this clear that you don't want to rush and you want to take your time, like if." If he's really like that the connection is really that like good and strong, he'll understand it. And then I think I was like, oh, well, if it's not, then you know it wasn't the right person
yeah,
anyway. So it was kind of just everything trying to reassure her because she was kind of starting to panic at that point.
yeah. So I know, and then after that, that's like I guess they're getting ready for the cocktail party when
Yeah.
that probably happened. So they were at the cocktail party. They told Wells, they're like, we were playing naked and afraid. And then they told Wells that Kat won, and he was like, "No
No,
way,
no
like
way.
no way." And then and then she came down and eventually like told him. I
Mhm.
think she's like, "Yeah, I did," and the whole whatever. So they
Yeah.
had that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, and then Jess and Spencer
They
talked
talked
again.
again,
Yeah,
yes. And she was saying that they want to be on the same page, or she
yeah,
wants them to be on the same page, and that she thinks, or not that I think that this is more my own opinion, that I think her past relationship plays a pretty big role in this, which I think makes a lot of
yeah,
sense. Because I feel like, again, like we talked about, if you have experiences in your life, I think that can really make you very hesitant to
hmm
like be like,
hmm
oh, okay, let me do it again. Because then you're like, no, I don't want to get hurt again, so let me just
yeah,
not do it.
yeah,
And again, they were talking about the challenges of living in different cities. I think Spencer was like, "Oh, do you want to do long distance for a year?" And she was like, "Well, I don't even think we have to kind of get to that right now." And then finally, or eventually, Spencer kind of opens up and is like, "Okay, I really see what you're saying. Let's go at your speed. It's
yeah,
okay. Like,
yeah,
we're on the
yeah.
same page. I'm not going to rush you. I'd rather us work through this slowly than like us completely try to force something and do it quickly." And I thought that was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, I think it was good because I think Spencer finally got it because I think it's like I'm sure he wasn't trying to like force it. He's just
no.
like he's
He's
excited and he
excited,
was trying
yeah.
to do all
Which is
these.
not hard to do. Like if you
Yeah.
really like somebody, yeah.
And I forgot because they did play back to the clip like when they first were talking when they first got to Paradise about how like they both had been cheated on in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's just but clear like Jess has certain hangups about like what transpired in her situation and then he'll have certain things about what transpired in his situation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe they were more further removed from their past relationship that it
Hmm.
or like maybe he's more removed from it or it's just like sometimes it's weird like if you feel like things like are like echoing the same
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, I mean they ended their conversation really well.
really
And
well. And then even Jess was like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
I'm very confident that we would work in the real world as well."
yeah,
So even though I get the sense that again we don't really know how the season ends, but I get the sense that especially since Spencer has kind of been like, "Yes, I see it. Let's go at our own speed. Let's not like rush it."
yeah.
I'm very confident. I think they could work in the real world as well.
Yeah.
So
And then Alex and Andrew sit and talk, and
yes,
it was a very sweet it started off like, like I don't really want to say, I haven't said I love you on television, and da 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 da. He's like, when I say it, it's because I mean it.
yeah.
And then they both start talking more, and then she says that she's like, I don't want to say it first, but then she said that she's falling in love with him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think she was the one that she was hesitating. She was
Yeah,
like, "Well, Andrew, I want to like, I don't know," and she kind of kept like beating around the bush. And then he was
yeah.
like, "Oh no, I'm in love with you." So he was the one that said it first, and then she said it to him.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then so they both say they're falling in love with each
yeah.
other. It was very sweet,
Very, very
and they say
sweet.
they love each other, and then yeah, let's just say that like he
He,
didn't stand up right away, and
and
says,
I
"Why
think
can't you follow me?"
and I think you probably can guess. Maybe he was a little too excited about her
Yeah.
telling me.
So I'm like, okay, they're clearly attracted to each other. I think
Yes,
that's just maybe like it wasn't the most striking thing about what Dr. Berman witnessed in their
exactly,
situation. I think
exactly.
my hunch is I think that there was probably a level of like they were holding back a little bit because we've said it like they have a little bit of
Yeah,
that like nervous awkward energy
yeah,
around each other, and I think that's the point is like you feel like you have your guard up because like you
yeah.
don't know, do they love me, the thing,
Right,
are
right,
we on
right,
the same
right,
page, and I think this probably released that feeling,
right.
and then yeah, so of course they had to make a whole thing, and then poor Andrew,
Oh my
she's like,
gosh.
gosh, you have to tell
You
him,
gonna tell anybody?
girl.
Exactly. He's like, you have to announce that on TV. It's like, come on.
Goodness.
That
So
is so funny.
so yeah, and then there's a big storyline that with the cocktail
No
party,
party.
like Keith starts, and this kind of it breaks up into some different conversations, but
Hmm.
if you want to just like all the conversations that Keith
Yes,
had.
yes, yes, because there were so many.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Keith was talking with Kathy first, and he was talking about, I guess, this relationship test, the jungle relationship test, really reminded him because I guess he and his daughters like go camping all the time, and that
Yeah.
was like a really big thing that he does to bond with his daughters. And he was saying that really made him like miss home and become more homesick than I guess he realized. And then they left
Yeah.
it on a cliffhanger, and he was like, "Yeah, I decided to go home." And so that's kind of how that I guess went. And then Keith also talked with the girls, specifically Jess, Alex, and Bailey, and he
Hmm.
was like, "Guys, I'm like really ready to leave. Ready to leave. I'm very homesick." And then the girls were like, "You're such a great support system, not just to like Kathy, but to all of us as like young people as well." And they don't want him to leave, but also understand his feelings. And then he also, but then I think that kind of clicks or like shifts something in his mind because when he finds out that he brings much more value than I guess he realized to
Yeah.
them, he is like, okay, let me kind of rethink my, I guess, stance on leaving.
Yeah.
And so,
I think at that point he was kind of like, I'm okay. He he was less about like, please vote me home. I want to leave.
yeah,
To more like,
exactly.
all right, I'm gonna go home soon anyway, but like I realize like the value. Like that was a really lovely conversation.
No,
One of the things
absolutely.
about is like people were so hesitant about like the Goldens mixing with the younger ones, and like yeah, they played it up in the beginning with some
But it's very, very, very genuine.
yeah, I think there's some nice um bonds that have occurred because of this, and like I
Yeah.
hope they have some sort of like after paradise
Yes,
reunion thing that they can
I hope
discuss
so.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think also intermixed in that is kind of just like they're all trying to figure out who to
Who
vote
to
for.
vote for?
And
That's
then
what I had. Yeah.
yeah, at the one point like Dale is basically like you're gonna vote out Jonathan because then
Mhm.
but then the guys are also kind of saying to him, but like yeah, but Keith wants to go home,
Yeah.
so why are you gonna vote out Jonathan before
Then
you're gonna vote out Keith? But he was just like, yeah, but like it's gonna be, I forgot what his rationale was, but essentially he's kind of just like, yeah, but well, we'll see later what happens
yes,
because
yes,
like Dale obviously has him and Jonathan have butt heads,
yes.
so that's kind of just like lingering.
So that
But
yeah, and so the rose ceremony was
yeah,
next, and so the men are handing out the roses for this rose ceremony. So I'll go through this quickly. Again, those surprises: Kat, Dale, Andrew, Alex, Andrew, Jess, Spencer, Jeremy, Bailey, and then now it's on to the last rose, and of course they got to have some kind of drama. And the big drama was is that they had a tie vote, which has not happened on this season, and the I guess the whole precursor and the whole result of them having a tie vote Dale gets to choose is going to be the deciding vote because he was the man in the winning couple. So he gets the deciding vote, and he was pretty quick and says, "I am picking Keith." So Keith obviously picks Kathy, and then so going home is Leia and Jonathan. I'm kind of sad about it, but then also again not that surprising because I knew it was going to be one of the two.
yeah,
So again. And again, I hope they both can find their people because they seem like really good people. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
and
we're getting to the end. So
exactly.
like, okay, it's just somebody's got to go.
Somebody's got to go. Exactly. And Jonathan even was like, yeah, Dale made the right decision. He wasn't even complaining about it. He
Yeah.
was like, yeah.
Then I saw they had the little preview of like this other game with the stick
The
figures of
stick
the people.
figures and the swords in the sand and
Like,
stuff.
like, oh, is the episode over? And I like it was like, no, no, there's more time left. And I was like, wow, they're really trying to squeeze it in. So
Yes.
they had they yeah, they
The next day they all did this.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had the commercial break and they come back and I don't know, Kathy was speaking in Spanish at one point, but so Wells comes and drops off this box with instructions and there's like these like really cryptic instructions and like it's like a puzzle and they're like, I don't know, my brain can't do this riddle right now. Like
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, and they have a dagger there and everybody's like, what the heck?
Mhm.
So they called it the Sharp Opinions game.
Oh,
Like
really?
they brought them over to the thing and they
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
have these like I don't know, they use like fruits and like
Different things and
to make
the people with the names on it.
what did Jeremy say? I had the best looking one.
Yes,
Jeremy
yes,
said
yeah,
I
the
had
best looking one. Yes. It was like very cryptic, making this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have them all stand in front of their
Like figure.
person, their
Yeah.
figure, and they basically were like, "You're gonna all have your backs to it, and then we're gonna say a phrase, and one by one, all of you is gonna go, and you're gonna stab the dagger in the back of the person that
Mhm.
you like vote for with this whole
Mhm.
thing." And they basically were like, "Okay, who is most likely to let their quirks like
Get the best of them in the relationship.
yeah,
something
and then
like
who
that.
was like or their nerves to get the best
Yeah.
of them, like different things like that." So they only showed a few,
Mhm.
and then they sped through and whatever.
Mhm.
And then basically they said that the winner will stay, and then they're gonna vote the other two women home.
Mhm.
There was one that they basically said that they're codependent,
Mhm.
or like they're too codependent or whatever, and then they said something with Kathy, but like they're like you're codependent on margaritas, and she's like, no, it's tequila, get it right.
Get it right.
Um, and then yeah, so I mean, I thought they, like stopped that they paused the game
They-
and they were gonna come back
yeah.
the weather, but like it sounded like they were done.
They were done. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any other standouts from like the actual game?
Again, it was very, very quick. That was pretty much it. The only thing is that Jesse told them before the game actually took place was like obviously whoever wins is going to, I guess, again get the rose ceremony or get the first rose of the rose ceremony. And then he
Yeah.
like made the whole kind of announcement that, oh, that rose ceremony is actually tonight. So I guess they have
Yes.
two rose ceremonies in a row, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
But again, we're getting to the end, so they got to speed things up. But that was pretty much it from the game. I thought it was very interesting, but again,
Yeah.
just weird and interesting how they like, I guess, went about it. But it was cool.
So they did determine the winner by the end which couple had the most like combined the least number of daggers in their
Mhm.
back.
Yes.
So Andrew and Alex were the winners. I was
Yes.
really happy to see that because they really like went in on them on the one question that they
Exactly.
showed. And I was just like, I don't know who it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be either them or Spencer and Jess, honestly.
Yeah. Me too.
And yeah, so then they kind of just left it with the cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
It's the last rose ceremony, so I'm sure the next episode will start with that.
Yes, that seems like
the voting and
yeah.
and then the promo.
The promo. Oh my gosh. This is so frustrating. Oh my gosh. So, like we talked about, so next week is the finale, and of course they're gonna go out with a bang for the finale. So this is how they always do it for like the finales with any Bachelor Nation show. It's like, oh, all happy, and then here we go. So of course they start out with all the like happy couples and Jeremy and Bailey, Alex and Andrew, Jess and Spencer, everybody.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, I'm so excited, I found my person. And then it was like, oh, someone's coming. And then they were like, the Parliament of Paradise is back. And I'm like, no. I literally wrote no in my notes because I'm like, we talked about last week. I didn't want to see more of this and no one else did.
No.
And of course, like it seemed like so many people, or that they have, I guess Sean got a whole gang back together to create his whole Parliament of Paradise.
Probably brought the last few couples that went home back, and then he's just saying Parliament of Paradise. I'm sure that the rest of them have no desire to be involved in
No,
this.
exactly.
I'm sure you agree.
No, absolutely. And I
Like-
feel like they're gonna be like, just leave, Sean, please. Because he was like, then again, and I wrote this has to be like a whole plan. I feel like this was like they had to do this.
Yeah.
And then again, very quick, but like they showed the whole thing with Sean ribbing in the cat again, and then being like, oh, Dale, she was never here for love in the first place, and so he's still getting on her case about everything. And then, oh my gosh, it's just gonna be so frustrating to watch again.
Love or money, I don't know.
Yeah.
They look like you forgo the money if you go for love. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. That was it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the ninth and final rose ceremony, and that's what he said is if they forego the money, or if they choose love, then they forfeit the money opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting and crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say we could do our overall thoughts.
Yes.
but I know that I think maybe we'll wait till next
We'll wait
week.
till next
Just
week.
because I feel like there are different things about like the format that I'm like, I liked what they did, I didn't like what they did, but let's see how it
We
ends
could
up.
probably just wrap up, do a whole like season thing.
Yeah. So yes, but I think we're good.
That's it. Yeah, I think. Oh my gosh.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
If you enjoyed, please, share it with a friend. Like, subscribe, and then you can follow us on our Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors. But until then, we will see you next week.
See you then. Bye.